Amadeus. I've watched this movie countless dozens of times throughout the years, and each time I do, it becomes even more engaging. I've yet to find anything glaringly faulty about it. It comes as close to a perfect movie as one can get. In fact, I'd not only say this movie is one of the greatest fictional dramas of its genre, but one of the greatest films of all time, period. From the acting, musical choices, set pieces, editing, flow, drama, and overall message, everything fits together as harmoniously as the notes in one of Mozart's great symphonies. Written by Peter Schaeffer and directed by Miloš Forman, Amadeus depicts the fictional rivalry between Antonio Salieri and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Spoilers ahead. Also, if you don't subscribe, Salieri will steal your stuff or something. One of the main reasons the movie sells so well is due to its main antagonist, Antonio Salieri, played by the immensely skilled and talented F. Murrah Abraham. A good actor can deliver emotion convincingly. A great actor delivers convincing emotions with greater range. A brilliant or sublime actor makes you forget they are acting. This describes F. Murrah Abraham. Miloš Forman originally had other actors in mind for the role, but an interesting turn of events led to Abraham taking it.
F. Murrah Abraham, for the role of Salieri, it was a little bit by accident. No, he was reading for the part of director Rosenberg. It's a small part in the film, But I didn't have anybody to read, Salieri. So I asked F. Murrah Abraham if he can stay a few more minutes. And it was very interesting, because he knew suddenly that this is not the part he's fighting for. So he was wonderful. He was just reading Salieri, and Salieri became so real and alive. And so I said, listen, this is great. If you can do this like this, so I would fight for you to become Salieri. So that's how he got the part.
Every scene Abraham plays in, whether the old or young version, he completely encapsulates. He telegraphs emotions flawlessly, without trying, and without overdoing it. I feel like I'm watching someone be themselves rather than someone playing a role. Whether he is imploring God to imbue him with some measure of talent rivaling Mozart's, or scheming to undo and undermine everything Mozart represents, his delivery is so articulate and convincing as to be uncanny. F. Murrah Abraham is a Mozart of actors. Secondly, Tom Hulce's portrayal of the prideful, impish, but affable Mozart is singular in its own right. He brings such a strong and infectious playful energy to the role. Both Hulce and Abraham were nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor. Murray took it, but I believe Hulce should have walked away with a statue as well.
There's only one thing that's missing for me tonight, and that is to have Tom Hulce standing by my side.
I would say all of the actors in this movie were perfect for their roles, even the smaller ones. The priest, who comparatively doesn't say very much in the movie, sells the role through his quiet facial expressions, whether it's confusion, compassion, shock, or dismay. By the end of the movie, you can see this man of God has no idea what to tell Salieri in the midst of his tragically diminished life. He is stunned. Perhaps in that shock, the priest felt the injustice the maestro had summoned onto himself. The makeup effects for old Salieri always struck me as convincing, ahead of their time. This film was released in 1984. I don't see prosthetics or clownish makeup here, something you might expect for the time. There are movies created subsequent to Amadeus where makeup used to age actors looks strained or unnatural. The realistic makeup effects were provided by industry makeup master magician Dick Smith.
Dick Smith is the best makeup man in the world, and when we would start working in the morning, it was at 4 o'clock. I would get up, I'd get to the studio by 4:30. We'd work on the makeup for 4.5 hours. And I also had lenses in my eyes, which every once in a while had to be removed, and my eyes had to be sprayed with stuff so that the pain, which was always there when I was working, would not be too much. once I looked into a mirror at my face, I felt like it was completely convincing.
Another element which etched this movie into the top 100 of all time was the use of Mozart's music to tell the story.
Papa?
This was an intentional approach by Forman. Whether it is the dramatic opening of his Symphony No. 25 in G minor to reflect Salieri's state of mind, or Mozart's own emotional state when confronted with what he believes is his father's ghost, the film uses Mozart's masterpieces to paint the story vividly without going overboard.
It seemed to me that I was hearing a voice of God. Excuse me.
It highlights the mood and emotional landscape with great finesse. It's a bit difficult to choose scenes from the movie that exemplify how well done it is, as they are all so tightly woven together and masterful. Even transitional scenes have a clean and clever purpose. But one of the more marvelous scenes shows us Salieri attending Don Giovanni, Mozart's signature opera, wherein he feels like his mind is being split in half by his conspiratorial and hypocritical nature. It also perfectly encapsulates Mozart's guilt about his father's death, Salieri's fragility, and his scheming plans to take Mozart's life.
Through my influence, I saw to it Don Giovanni was played only 5 times in Vienna. But in secret, I went to every one of those 5.
One of the more elegant aspects of the film are how the scenes flow from one to the other, especially between old and young Salieri. Take a look at this scene toward the beginning of the movie. The transition here is perfect. We don't need any telegraphing or 30 years ago written on the screen. We immediately know this is old Salieri reliving his younger, more glorious days. It is a perfect way to show Salieri's craving for approval and his pining for better times.
Well?
It helps set the tone for the rest of the movie. This clever scene transitioning takes place all throughout the film and does what most do not. Creates an effortless flow from scene to scene in a clear and logical manner. Yet another factor making Amadeus a work of art are the sets and clothing chosen to depict 18th century Vienna. You could randomly pick a shot from the movie and think, this would make a great painting from 18th century Vienna. Look at how gorgeous the sets are. For that, we can thank the many extant buildings of the era located in Prague, where the movie was filmed. In fact, an interesting tidbit, the Till Theater, shown in the movie, is the real theater where Mozart conducted the first performance of Don Giovanni in 1787, nearly 240 years ago. One other minor but refreshing aspect of the movie was the lack of English accents. In many period dramas, including ones depicting ancient Rome and Greece for some reason.
Not now, Perseus. You will have your chance.
Boagrius has this effect on many heroes.
This is ancient Greece. Stop talking like that. There are only a couple of characters imbued with an accent from the British Isles in Amadeus, thankfully.
A young man trying to impress beyond his abilities.
Quite the contrary.
Stop talking like that. This is Vienna. Many of the others talk without an English accent. A refreshing change, I do say. The word masterpiece gets thrown around a lot these days when describing certain movies. Some I'd say rightly so, and others perhaps earned that determination through marketing, a small cadre of paid reviewers, and an Oscar Academy Award panel who have become increasingly lax in what constitutes high art. However, Amadeus sets the bar for what a dramatic masterpiece truly is, and I've covered only a small fraction as to why. What do you think?